Hey, what's going on? I'm Matt O'Leary back with another video, and today we're going to talk about some leaked Madden ratings for the New York Jets. But before we get started, I just wanted to mention that you can follow me on social media at Matt O'Leary NY on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all that fun stuff. Also, if you haven't already, please make sure to subscribe to the podcast Just Jets, wherever it is that you get your podcast. You could also call in, leave me a question. I'll get to it on the show. So I'm going to talk about some leaked Madden ratings for Madden 21 with the New York Jets, which is kind of fitting because I've recently picked up Madden on the channel. Haven't really played video games in close to a decade, but during the quarantine I got a little bored, so I got an Xbox Madden 20 and I made a series out of it, which you should definitely check out, which is What If Adam Gase Wasn't the Head Coach. Essentially, I'm going through the season last year, playing it out as if I was the coach. I created myself in the game. It's just for fun. It's been a lot of fun doing it, and you guys have liked it, so thank you so much for keeping up with it. Appreciate it. So let's start from the beginning. The top-rated Jet is Jamaal Adams, which I'm really not surprised about. What I am surprised about, though, is what his overall rating was, which was a 92. He's the third rated safety in the game. To me, I think he is worthy of a 96 grade. That's where I'd probably put him at. I would say definitely 95 plus. 92 is too low. He's behind Harrison Smith and Tyrann Mathieu, which I think he's better than both those players. So I would have him as a number one rated safety, and I think at least the 96 is probably pretty fair. Coming in at number 2 is Le'Veon Bell at an 87. He is not in the top 10 for running backs, which he was a little upset about, but I think the rating's actually probably pretty fair based off what he did last year. He's a very talented back, no denying that, but I think at 87 is about right. Could you sell me on an 89? Probably. I don't think I'd put him in the 90 range, but he is definitely someone who is worthy of a high 80 grade. So coming in at number 87, I think is probably pretty fair. Third is CJ Mosely, who's coming in at an 85 rating. He didn't play at all last year, but I think that's probably a little bit on the low side. I would say that probably because he didn't play is why he's a little bit on the low side. I would expect that number to climb up closer to 90 as the game updates throughout the season. Avery Williamson's at an 83. I was a little surprised with that. I figured he'd be a little bit lower. He's pretty close to where CJ Mosely is, which I wouldn't really put them all that close. I think I would put Williamson at around the 81, and again, I would probably have Mosely up around the 87. That's just my opinion on it. Williamson is an above-average starter. I'm just a little bit surprised that they rated him at an 83. I thought it would be a little bit lower than that. Next up is Pierre Desir at an 81. I thought it would be a little bit lower. I thought he'd maybe be in the high 70s, but 81, a little bit on the high side for him. Obviously, I'll take it, but I was a little bit surprised with that one as well. Marcus May at 81, I think is probably pretty fair. Could you make the case that that can go up during the season? Absolutely. I think he's an above average starter. He's definitely solid, and I expect that number to go up. I believe he was at a 79 in last year's game. Came off a really good year, so I'm a little surprised. Maybe it could be a little bit higher, like an 84, somewhere in that range. He's a good player. I think it'll go up as the year goes on. Brian Poole at 80 seems low. He was one of the best slot corners in the game. I would put him probably somewhere around an 84, like somewhere around that. Obviously, he's not a premier outside corner. That's going to be a little bit held against him, but in the slot, he is very, very good. So an 80, probably on the low side. I guess I understand their direction in the rating, but I would put him a little bit higher. Jameson Crowder at 80 seems right on the money. He's a solid receiver in the slot. Maybe you could argue that he could be a couple points higher than that, but I think 80 is pretty close to being spot on for Jameson Crowder. Frank Gore at 79, I think is a little bit high for him at this point in his career. To me, he's probably more of around the 75. He started off last year pretty well, really slowed down the stretch in Buffalo. I don't know how productive he's going to be with the Jets this year. 79 seems a little bit generous. Obviously, again, I'll take it, but I was surprised to see it come in at 79. And Brian Winters, the 10th rated Jet, is a 79. That is wild. How he is the best offensive lineman rated on the Jets is crazy down. If I was rating him, he'd probably be like a 68 maybe, somewhere around that. Connor McGovern's better than he is. I think Mekhi Becton probably deserves a higher grade than him. Maybe an equal grade with George Fant on the right side. I'll give you that one. And Van Roten, I believe, is in the 60s as well. His leaked, but this is a top 10 list. I definitely think 68 is probably around what's fair for him. 79 is just ridiculously too high. Sam Darnold comes in at a 73. I think that's probably a little bit low. I'd have him up around the 79. Then you have Mekhi Becton at 72. Again, I'd probably have him a little bit higher up than that. Bless is a 73. Bless on Austin. I think he would probably be a little bit higher, not by a crazy amount, maybe like a 76. If he plays a full year this year, I could see that going up a lot. Prashad Perryman at 75 seems about right. He came on strong at the end of last year, but he really didn't do all that much in the first 11 weeks, so I don't think you really put him up too much higher than that. Quintin Williams at a 78, that's a couple of points lower than what he started out in the game last year. 78 is probably about right for him. I have no gripes with that one. Mcgovern at 74 is pretty low. He should be around an 80 to 82, I think. Chris Herndon at 72, I think they're sleeping on him a little bit. I'd have him up at around the 77. I know he didn't play last year, but he was really solid in his rookie year. I think 77 is probably pretty fair. Flacco at 69 is about right. Maybe you can convince me that he could be a 72, but again, if you're going to have Darnold at 73, then I guess Flacco at 69 makes sense. And then Greg Van Roten, I was right. He was at a 68. So I think him and Brian Winters should be around the same grade at a 68. So those are some of the leaked Madden ratings. Let me know in the comments down below, A, if you care about the Madden ratings, and B, if you think they were fair. Let me know in the comments what you think and what you'd grade these guys out to be. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Once again, I'm Matt O'Leary, and I'll talk to you next time.